Welcome to this video where we are going to continue where we stopped last time, and we will play with range again. So in this case, we will continue iterating with the range, but this time it's going to be a range that has a start and a stop. So iterating with range. However, this is going to be the case where you have a start value for that range and you also have a stop value. So in the first case, we only gave a stop value, so the assumption was that start from 0. But in this case, we are going to be more specific. So here we'll say for I in range. So we are going to provide the start value and the stop value. So in this case, we want it to start at 2, and remember it never touches the end value, so we expect to have 2, 3, 4, 5. So let's say print, and we will keep using the F. Actually, you can just say I, and you'll see the value, but you want to cultivate a habit of using the F to produce things which are really explicit. You know, as you keep doing things, that's how you master all of this. As we say in French, c'est en forgeant qu'on devient forgeron. African proverb. Okay, let's go for it. In this case, we want to say number, and we want to throw in that, and here we go. That's it. So let's continue with hashtag. Here we want to look at another type of range. So iterating with range. This time, so if you look at all the other ones, the assumption is that the distance, so we have start, stop, but what is the distance between the numbers? The default is just 1. Okay, you have start to end, and the distance is 1. Now we want to be a bit more specific with a distance. So in this case, we are going to provide start, and we will also provide the stop, and finally the step. Here we go. So we have a for loop for I in range. So I encourage you play a bit with some of these things. So we will start from 1, we will stop at 10, and the distance is 2. So we expect the first one to be 1, then we'll go to 3, then 5, and so on and so forth. So print F number I. So as you keep doing that, soon it's going to be second nature. You see we have 1, 3, 5. So it should not be, so we have, it stops at 9 because if you add 2, you touch 11, but we don't want to touch 11. It should be below, it should be less than 11. So if you want, you put 12, then it's going to give you 11. That's just the idea behind. Now this time we are going to spice it a bit more. This is a case where we want to use for loop with conditional statements. So we have already seen conditional statements. So let's just say numbers, and we'll have a list of numbers. So let me say 10 minus 5, 0, 23, negative 1, put whatever you want in here, really doesn't matter. And here we go. I'll just say positive. Number, attention, positive number sum. Okay, we want to sum all the positive numbers you have in here. So we have 10 plus 0 plus 23 plus 100. We expect to have about 133. So let's initialize it with a 0, and then we can move on and start with a for loop. So for num in numbers, so given that we want to sum the nums which are in numbers, however, we first of all need to run a condition to make sure it's positive. So we will say if num is greater than 0, we've already seen something like this, print f. We know that we are dealing with num. Okay, I just want to make sure, yeah, num, so it's the num here, so num here, num here, num here, because it has come. Let's say the first one will be 10 in numbers. Numbers is all of that, so num is positive. So if it meets that condition, it's going to print it. And then if it prints it, what should it do? Then positive num. So what you initialize as 0 here, it's going to add that number to it. So if we want, we'll just do plus equal, but I just want things to be clear. So in this case, we are going to do equal. We'll say positive num sum plus num. So it's going to add, so if it's positive, it should add it there. Okay, I think there's a mistake here. I did not open that and close it here. That's why it was getting red. So that should happen. Now, there's an effective way of doing this. You can just put plus equal, and then you don't need to repeat this. You just get rid of that and you put plus equal. Well, we will likely play around with it. Now, let's look at the other case. Now we have L if num is less than 0. In this case, what do? We don't want to add it to that thing, so we'll just say print f. We open it, and in this case, it's going to be num is negative. And we will go to else, print. So we know this case is a case where num has 0. So f is 0. Okay, now once we get here, let's have fun with some of these things. We want to now take a look at the sum of positive numbers. So after iterating through this, what comes out? If you want, you can just type this value. It's going to take it out, or you put it, you wrap it within a print. We just want things to look nice. So it may look as if it's long and complicated, but you are just developing proper habits, because these are the approaches which are generally used. Sum of positive numbers and there we go. So I can hit enter. You can see it tells me 10 is positive, 5 is negative, 0 is 0, blah, blah, blah. So it's going to do 10 plus 23 plus 100. That's what we have there. So this is a case where you've combined, we've simply set using the for loop with conditional statements. So you'll see some of those things when you're analyzing data. Just play around with it. Make sure you are really used to it. So now we want to look at the while loop. Here you have to be very careful because it's a loop that can run forever if you are not careful. So we want to look at the basic while loop. Okay, first we will initialize the count. Now, before I do that, I remember I mentioned something. I said here we could have just done plus equal. Okay, we could have done it like that. Let's run it. You see it's the same value. Okay, so you don't need to be doing all of that. If you do plus equal, it just does it. Okay, so here we go with count. We initialize the count and then we start with a while loop. So while count is less than 5. So as long as count is less than 5, so it's critical that you keep increasing count, else as long as count is less than 5, whatever you say here will continue running. So let's just say print count is, put it there, it's going to extract the count and tell us. So after what you want to do, you must increment your count. Count equals, so we can say count plus 1. Now remember, it's possible to just say plus equal 1. Okay, so you could as well, let me comment this out. You can as well say count equal, well, we said plus equal 1. This is critical. Without this step, we will get into trouble. So when it runs, it should tell us, let's just put something here to say loop finished. If you do not put this incremental thing, it's just going to be printing the numbers forever. So for example, if you say, okay, let's run it. So you can see 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 because it's incrementing it. Okay, so if this is not very clear to you, just comment this one out and then run the other one. When I just started coding, this made more sense to me, but with time you just get the hang of this one. So I'll run it. You see it's the same results we are getting. So whatever makes sense, just make sure you are doing something that makes sense to you. But as we move on, things will become clearer and clearer. In the next video, we are going to start with functions. That's it for the while. We introduce it because most of the time we will be using the for loop, nested for loops with all these things in, well, for loops with conditions or nested for loops. Yeah. So the next video we will start with functions, and that will be it. After we are done with functions, we will immediately move to Panda, where we really start playing with data. Now always revise what a list is and what a dictionary is, because we will use that when we start with Panda.